This course was about wielding weapons, about wielding any kind of weapons, about taking any object in your hand and treat it as a weapon, weaponize any object you want to. In order to do so, we need to understand objects, we need to comprehend, to fully connect with the object we have in our hands, and for that we need to work with many kinds of objects and train and touch objects to build this sort of understanding. To build this skill of understanding objects, we use several principles that we talked about this course, and we use standard weapons to understand and learn those principles, and then we can apply it to any object. So let's talk about the principles. The first principle is working with standard weapons to create this body object language. The second principle is finding the balance of the weapon or the frequency of the flexible weapon, and understand the pivot points of the weapon. Is it in the handle? Is it here? And understand the different modes of rotation of the weapon. The third principle we talked about is the 4 basic motorics: the figure 8 motoric, 2 directions, the chasing hand motoric, the opposite direction, and the separation of direction motorics. The fourth principle was the 13 directions of attack and defense. We have the plus direction, we have the cross direction, we have the roll, the back roll, and the stab direction, the stab pull direction. The fifth principle we've talked about is holdings. I can hold here, I can hold here, and it's different thing. I can hold with single hand or with 2 hands or dual wield weapon, and they all have different applications. I can hold, if I had a pole weapon, I can hold it with different types of holdings. And so this was the fifth principle. The sixth principle to understand is range. What range does this weapon apply? Like for pole weapons, for example, with a long staff, I can walk in short distance and large distance, and it depends on the holding. With hammer, for example, or axe, I can walk with short distance, large distance, or I can just throw the weapon. Hammers, axes, I can throw them. The seventh principle is understanding the weight of the weapon. The different applications depends if the weapon light or heavy. With heavy weapon, I can defend in a way that will divert the opponent's attack. With light weapon, I need to apply different kind of movement. The eighth principle was, where do we want to hit the target with what part of the weapon? I can hit, I can pull, I can use the handle, I can use the handle to stab, I can use the handle for manipulations. Lots of fun with weapons. So it's very important to understand the weapon and where and how using it, how to apply it in the situation. I hope you've enjoyed the course. I hope you've learned. If you apply the principles you've learned here into your practice, you will find out the different technique for different weapons just by taking the object and play with it. Not for a master's level, but enough to know how to use it. If you want to become a master, you need to do much more basic training, not only principle, but also very methodic training. And I want to invite you all to my site, www.unifiedgongfu.com, and learn how to move learn how to fight. I teach there how to move your body, how to fight with your body, how to understand warfare lore and warfare principles and apply them into self-defense combat situation. Come, join my site and subscribe and learn. www.unifiedgongfu.com